Yeah, for some reason the lights behind me are broken, and that's going to frustrate me in the editing process when I constantly stare at it and am bothered. It's okay, it's an unboxing video, not a normal review, and so not everything in my background has to be perfect. Today I have 4 swords in 2 packages to unbox, kind of give first impressions on. These were all provided by Swordis for review. And they are all katana adjacent, shall we say. It's going to be very fun reviewing these formally and properly. By the way, check out this really cool knife. I think I've used this a few times in unboxings, and I don't know if I've ever actually talked about it. I got it for like $12 at the Museum Replicas storefront. And I'm not big on like weird, silly looking knives like this, but it's got this cool hinge action. And it's kind of like steampunk inspired. And then it locks when you press down in that middle. So it doesn't close. You have to kind of pull up in the middle to make it close. Interesting little knife. Anyway, 4 swords, all kind of katana adjacent. I would really love to unbox this top one last because in many ways it's the one I'm most interested to kind of look at. But I think that the, shall we say, the piece de la resistance is in this larger box down below. So we're going to start with this top one and get it fully opened. There we go. A couple of hangers on of the tape there. All right. And this is nice that it actually comes in a large box, a large case. So here we go. You can see how large this is. So I think maybe a few astute people might actually know what this is going to be. Very excited to see it. We open it up. There's a lot of bubble wrap. Let's get this unpackaged. So yes, this is all from shipped from Swordis. Okay, bubble wrap off, plastic wrap off. Got a couple extra pegs, which is nice. I will hold on to those and unwrap this. So all 4 of these swords are from the same maker, which is Shadow Dancer. And this first one is a nodachi. And it's also got a bit of a plastic wrapping around the grip of it all. So let me see if I can do this without damaging it, because I don't want to damage anything. This might take me a moment. Okay, so there it is. Everything is unwrapped. This is the Shadow Dancer 9260 steel nodachi, sent to me for review by Swordis. And we got more plastic on the blade. Let's see if we can get this off. So I got plastic off, but I should get all this grease off the blade as well. All right. So, here we go. This is what it looks like. It is quite large. I don't think it's the largest of the nodachis I've ever held. I have an odachi, which is basically the same thing, that I got a long time ago. I might pull it out for comparison at some point. But yeah, this is quite large, quite large. Not that heavy, really. I mean, it's a little bit blade heavy because there's so much blade. And so I'm going to kind of run through my initial thoughts. Looking for a moment at the fittings. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to assert some guesses, and I'll have to do a little bit more time outside of just a first impression to say what my guesses are here. But From what I can tell, there is a synthetic ray skin that is being used. It is very well put together. Like, it feels nice and solid. I like the designs of part of the fittings. But I will say one thing that is massively lacking is a tsuba on it. It is just kind of like not even enough to be considered much of a hand guard, and I think is really just to give an end to the fittings and to the grip. The blade is definitely a simulated hamon. It is ground in. It is very repetitive in its pattern, so that is not properly clay tempered, heat treated. Not too surprising given the price. I think you're paying more for just a decently well made nodachi here, which, by the way, I'll note is a lot harder to find than you'd think. Katanas are a dime a dozen, but finding any type of nodachi or odachi is a little bit more difficult. Would I have preferred it to be clay tempered? Sure, I recognize that a lot of time clay tempered blades this size are a lot more difficult. So, yeah, what doesn't surprise me, this is kind of the approach. But yeah, it feels pretty good. Two-handed, hands in the kind of the proper place gripping it. It feels pretty decent. I imagine this is going to be a lot of fun to do a cut test with. So I'll probably do something real interesting for the cut test for it. Also, because of the length, I'm now noticing how much the blade tapers near the tip. It's quite, about the normal thickness you'd... Actually, it might even be a little bit thinner than I would maybe normally think, or maybe it's just the proportions feel a little bit off. But certainly by the tip, it's noticeably smaller, probably by about 70 or 80% the size. But I mean, again, that probably makes for a decent balance. It's got, the fuller groove on the spine there. So, yeah, pretty interesting. The saya is wood lacquered, it looks like, with some plastic fittings. Fits it really well, though. None of it falling out. It's in there nice and tight. Requires a pull to actually come out. So the fitting is really good. Overall, not too shabby, I have to say. I'll be very interested, like I said, to do a cut test with this. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. Proper review will be coming out at some point in the not too distant future. Okay, this box should have 3 swords in it then. So let's see. Oh man, the floor around me is crazy. Alright, we're going to start with this one. Again, it is Shadow Dancer. All of these are from the same manufacturer. And I believe this is, yes it is, this one is the Hira Zukuri katana. So I'm going to go through the process of taking all the pieces off, including on the blade, and then I'll give some first impressions and thoughts. Okay, the Hira Zukuri katana. So again, I'll do a bit of a first impressions. That's interesting. I only see one pin on this one. Okay, so same thing with the tsuba here. It is wooden core, kind of looks like a lacquered outside. The blade is again 9260 steel. This time it does not have a simulated hammer on it, so it's just kind of a clean look. The Tsuba is kind of real simple. I like the kind of silhouette of it, the outline of it, but it's kind of a dragon motif. Similarly, charms here are dragon motifs. Again, simulated ray skin is what this looks like. This one, I still think it's simulated. It's got a little bit of cracking in it that makes it a little bit harder to tell. So yeah, it is very light. My goodness. Sometimes I feel like katanas are a bit heavy. This one feels like it'd be really nimble. So similar to the nodachi, I can't wait to actually do a cut test with it. It seems like it'd be a lot of fun. Build quality, again, same thing. Everything feels really well put together. I am a little bit surprised that there's just a single pin right here and not another one. Usually there's two. But yeah, man, that's so light. That's impressively light feeling. I'd have to go check the specs on it. Again, look forward to reviewing it. I will open this one next. So, got a nodachi, got a katana. Gonna go with a bit of a departure here. This one is Ninjato. I think it's the term that is used, but basically a straight edge katana. I'm going to go through the process of taking all the plastic off. Be right back. All right, I got everything off of it. This is the Ninjato. Again, only one pin in this. I'm going to go back and look at the nodachi at some point. I'm pretty sure it had two. Only one pin that I can see in this one. It's interesting how the charms are offset in a different way than I would expect. But all right. So, to me, this is what feels like the most prototypical version of this sword, right? Everything is black, a square Tsuba, very simple in design, very simple straight edge blade. Looks mostly straight. There's a bit of a optical illusion from my perspective, makes it feel like it's actually curving in a bit. I'm not sure if that plays through on the camera or not. But straight edge. I will say this one also feels pretty light, but it actually feels a little bit heavier than the Hira zukuri one. Again, everything is well put together, well fitted. I got no real complaints in that regard. 9260 steel, yet again, and in this case, again, no simulated Haman. So, you know, honestly, I think I tend to prefer that. I either would rather have it be an actual clay tempered and properly polished Haman, or just none at all. I think is generally my leaning. I'll be curious to see how well this one cuts, and be interesting reviewing it. I don't know if I've ever reviewed a Ninjato before, so there we go. The last sword, I'll need to pull up specs on my phone to talk about, because this one is slightly different. What is special about this one is I am unwrapping it. As you can see, definitely looks pretty different. This is one of the custom katana builder options from Shadow Dancer via Swordis. So Swordis has a couple of different katana builders now, but this one specifically, I was working with them to test out the light version of their builder, and kind of, you have most of the same options as you do with the advanced builder, but it is a little bit simpler and a little bit, I think, easier workflow, although it does change some things up. And when I do the review, I did actually record myself designing this one. It was about a month and a half, 2 months ago now that I went through the process, because of course, custom katana, they have to actually make it, and it takes some time to do that. And based on what options you choose, and I'll be honest, I chose a few options that would add some time to it. You can increase your build time by a couple weeks. So, again, I only see one peg on it, which is interesting. I think I probably would have noticed that. This one is an authentic ray skin. So I'm going to tell you the specs before I kind of open it up and do any more. So here are the options that I chose. I'm going to run down the list and then talk a bit more about it in the review process. But it is, again, a 9260 spring steel. I made a mistake with that. It's not on them. It was my mistake. And it was mostly because I was playing around with the options on the website. I believe when I open this up, when I take the plastic off the blade, there will not be a Haman on it. No, there is not. That is actually my fault. I would have done it. But I was playing around with the builder and some of the different blade shapes and designs, and based on different shapes you actually might have limitations. And when I went back and chose this design where I could have had a proper clay tempered Haman, I failed to actually add it in. So that is my fault, not their fault. It is definitely designed to my specifications. I'm going to go through the specifications real quick. 9260 spring steel. The blade shape is a zukuri, same as the as this one basically, which is the Hira zukuri blade shape. The wrapping material is a Suka Ito in dark blue, so that's a silk. The style is the Suka Maki style. It does have paper wedges in the twist, so it actually adds a bit more for the grip. It is ray skin, proper ray skin, not simulated, which, you know, looking at it next to this one, it definitely looks like the proper ray skin, which I would expect. I'm going to go double check because I'm not connoisseur and expert on the ray skin, but there you go. The ray skin is in white. I have an antiqued Suba, and all the Suba, the Minuki, all the pieces are all either brass or antiqued brass. I had reasons for choosing those specifically, as well as the design. The cord is a Sageo. Again, it's a silk. So the theme of this sword, and as we go through the review, and I showed the build process in that video, I decided to go with a theme of like water. And so everything in my design ended up being informed by that. I had a couple different options. There were basically two themes I was thinking of going with. It was either going to be a monkey katana, basically, or it was going to be the water katana. I'm basing this off of memory from 2 months ago. Maybe I had some other thoughts, but I seem to recall there were basically two Subas that really spoke to me, that I really liked. One had monkeys on it, and one was this wave pattern. And I think I went in saying I want to do something ocean themed. For those who don't know me personally, one of my favorite things in the world is basically the ocean. I love being on the ocean. I love ships and boats. I love seafood. I don't know, something in my blood that says I should be near water at all times, specifically ocean water. But anyway, so I decided to try to do like deep blue colors, and the Suba and the Minuki and all the rest of it are all like waves crashing on things and sea foam. The blade itself, nothing real special besides it being basically the exact same blade that's in this other Hira one. The saya, again, wood core, kind of lacquered, and then I went with this kind of speckled version because, sure, it's like a sea foam bubbles type thing. So, quite frankly, looking at it in front of me, I'm much happier with it than I think I was when I was doing the design, where I felt a little bit into Sword Builder like I was guessing what it would look like. I'm actually very happy with the colors of the blue, the deep colors. I think that turned out really nice. I went with brass and antiqued brass because, again, going with kind of like a nautical ocean theme, brass is a really common metal to be used on old ships because it is corrosion resistant. So I chose it. And it's also nice and light. I feel like the grips on these Shadow Dancer katanas are maybe just like a tad shorter than I'm used to. I don't know it's a bad thing, I'm just kind of noting it. But build quality, again, is good. It's really quite nice. And I really like the way this one looks. You know, custom katana builders, you know, they can get very expensive very quickly. One of the limitations I put on myself was trying to keep it within a reasonable budget. The only thing that I'm missing in terms of features is, again, having the clay tempered hamon on it so that it would be very traditional feeling. I kind of feel sad that I missed out on that. That's my fault again. But overall, happy with the build. It looks pretty good. I can't wait to actually do a review of it, do cut tests with it, all the rest. So, okay, so I threw this one under a bunch of trash now. That was not my intent. So I'm going to pull this back out so I can put all four of them on the table here. So I didn't notice it on this one, but again, I only see one peg on this. That's very interesting. I'm not an expert on these types of blades. Not nearly someone like Matthew Jensen or any number of people in the sword community who know a whole lot more about katanas than I do. I don't know what the downside is of only having a single peg in holding it all, the assembly together. I would think it would matter that much as long as the fit is good, and it certainly feels like the fit is really good for these. Even though these two swords, the Hira zukuri and my custom zukuri shaped blade, are going to be very similar, I would assume, both in just general performance and feel. I do think it'll be interesting to kind of get two reviews on very similar weapons from Shadow Dancer. This is my first real experience with Shadow Dancer, and now I have four products from them, all a little bit different for one reason or another, and I think that's kind of exciting because they'll feel very similar, but I'll have things to talk about. And so a question for you, the viewing audience. I've got four swords here. I have to go through the process of filming them, doing the B-roll, doing cut tests before I ever get around to doing a review. So I'd be curious, almost like a poll of sorts, and you can feel free to put it in the comments below. Which one would you like to see reviewed first? Because maybe I'll prioritize the ones that people want to see first. My current leaning, I'll be honest, is to basically go Ninjato first, because I think it's probably the least interesting. Go with the Hira zukuri, then go with the nodachi, and then finally doing the custom one to kind of capstone it all. But I'm curious to see which ones you'd be more interested in seeing, and what your thoughts are in general of these specific examples from Shadow Dancer. Yeah, pretty neat stuff. So that's it. That's my unboxing. That's my kind of first reaction to it. You know, being a somewhat inexperienced Japanese sword practitioner compared to other people, I may have a little bit less to say, but I still think I'm overall pretty impressed by the quality that I'm seeing here, especially given some of the price points that are very reasonable for as kind of entry-level quality katanas. So pretty nice there. All right, I guess I will see you all in the reviews of these swords. See you later.